So, Avenged Sevenfold, my favourite band. So, this is going to be a treat, well, for me at least, and it's going to be obviously a brilliant review. Now, I may be a little judgy on this band, obviously, because they're my favourite, so a lot of people may think I'm a bit hypocritical, and my opinion's not going to really be that much to really take notice of because I may be considered a bit of a fanboy and everything. But I'm going to back up everything I say. I'm going to explain everything in as much detail as I can. So I'm not basically just saying it sounds great just because it sounds great. I will try and explain why and why there's talent and why it's good. So I will try and back everything up so it doesn't sound like I'm just gushing with no reason. There will be reasons. To an extent, maybe, because other people will have other opinions that may go against mine, but I am going to be truthful about this. I'm not going to make up things. So I'm going to review the self-titled. I think it's one of the more easier albums to review by Avenged. It's also the first album that released when I liked them, because I got in during City of Evil, but that album was already released. So the self-titled was the album where I was a fan, and it was the first one to be released. It was also the album which I first saw them live, and it was a god-awful show. I couldn't hear absolutely anything. All I heard was the crowd until they played the last song, then I heard it, and then they buggered off. And the show was just under an hour or something, so it was quite pathetic. But, Heard City of Evil blew me away. It was absolutely fantastic. Before that, my favourite band was like Green Day, so I'd never really heard things like this. I heard Maiden and Ozzy and everything, but that was mostly through my dad. This was like the first band I kind of found myself. The previous albums that came out, obviously, because I had access to Waking the Fallen and Sound of the Seventh Trumpet. Sound of the Seventh Trumpet was god-awful, the production was awful, the musicianship was all over the place, structure was a complete mess, the vocals were god-awful. Unholy Confessions, the intro was good. Unholy Confessions, one of their most famous songs, is bloody awful, it's extremely repetitive. The guitar work, I think, is extremely lazy and repetitive. I think it's awful. I think the best song off Unholy Confessions is the last track, which is And All Things Will End. I think so. Which pretty much seems to be the song on the album which sounds most like what they're doing these days. And the solo on that song lasts a long time, and it's an amazing, amazing solo. I Won't See You Tonight Part 1 was pretty great. Could have used a bit more, but overall wasn't bad. So if there's like the odd track, but overall I don't listen to Unholy Confessions. It's just not good, really, and really worth skipping through things and everything and just putting up with. When I could just, there's a catalogue out there now by Avenged which is so much better. But anyway, getting into the self-titled. Now, this was a big deal. This is basically the last album to feature their drummer, The Rev, and the last that really kind of had a lot of songs written by him. There were songs written on the album after this, Nightmare, by him, but this was basically his final project and his final performance, this album. Also, another reason why it's a big deal was it was produced by them, so they didn't have anyone helping them out. Everything was their ideas. Everything went through them, it was all them. So everything that's heard, everything that's done, everything that's incorporated is all done, said and thought about by Avenged Sevenfold, which is absolutely incredible. And I believe that's why this album, even though people can say it's not the best album, and the self-titled should be their best album, I think this was a good choice to be self-titled because it is basically them in the fullest, and it was the last hurrah for the original basically lineup, because it was the last from the Rev. It was also all them. There was no other influence or outside help. It's pure Avenged Sevenfold. So self-titled is the best. There is a making of this album, which I have seen. It is extremely good. They go track by track, which is the best type of making of. I hate making ofs where they just kind of skip through things and you just kind of hear random playing and it's about 3 minutes. It's just, there is no point. Track by track, seeing how every structure is done is how I want to see it, and that is how the documentary of the making of this album goes. It's around an hour or so, just under, I think. So, amazing watch. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. It is extremely fascinating, and seeing how their minds work and everything. And they're a great bunch of guys. You can see how hard working they are. It was pretty great. The studio they were in, I think, had an effect on the overall album, by the way it looks, because all the lights were kind of off, so it was dark, but what lit the room was fairy lights, which was all the kind of pretty pinks and greens and blues and reds, and then they had the big light bulbs as well. This was the main light bulbs, which were also colours and everything. So it was dark, but everything was lit up in so many beautiful colours and everything. And then they had like rugs on the wall and everything, so it was really warm, really colourful. And I think that kind of incorporated into their minds and gave them the kind of mood set that seems to fit into a fair few songs on this album. So I think they kind of put themselves in an environment that helped give them the kind of feel, the emotion, the headspace to put the sounds and emotions into these songs. So again, I don't know if that was the idea, because I know some bands, there's singers which they need to sing something extremely personal and extremely emotional. So they don't want people seeing them. They don't want to stand in a booth and have eyes on them. So they basically take the mic and go outside and just shut the door, and they all have to be inside listening. And then the singer will just do it by himself, completely alone, in complete darkness, to get himself in that frame of mind. So I don't know if that was the plan, but that's how I kind of see it. They don't say that, but I think it helped set the mood for them. So going into the first track, Critical Acclaim, this starts out with keys. Now they're quite haunting, but it's not dark and gothic. It's kind of Disney, but it's not like Disney Princess or anything. As I say, it's dark, but it's like Disney on Halloween or something. Nightmare Before Christmas type of keys and Coraline or something like that. It's kind of bright and cheerful, but it sounds quite kind of menacing and murderous and things. And that's basically how the song starts. Then it gets into the band with the drums slowly pounding out some things. Sin is doing a musical lead. It's very slow, holding his notes, making every note have feeling, have a breathe and everything. So it's not just whittling every single note. He's having a purpose, having emotion put through the note, giving it time to breathe. And that's what he does for a while. Then Zachy kind of comes in with a few kind of chugs and everything underneath that, giving a bit more thickness to it. And then eventually there's a few cymbal taps. Obviously something's coming, that usually is what it means. And then Matt lets out a belting scream, holds it, and while he's doing that, the drums are going ballistic and everything. Zachy's doing some heavy chord stuff, and Sinister is just holding notes with the whammy. So just wow, 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 and so he's bending, he's holding the whammy out, straining the living daylights out of the guitar, making it like scream like it's in pain or something. It's pretty insane. Sinister's great at holding notes with the whammy. He really enjoys doing it, especially live. Like, he holds the whammy and then kind of walks from one end of the stage to the other, just holding the whammy out, not having to do anything because he's just holding the whole thing and it just keeps screaming. So that goes on, and then Matt kind of cuts out, and then it's kind of palm muting chug, so dun 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 dun, and then kind of a fret, so it's kind of palm muting, and then it builds up again with some kind of bends and whammies, and then you get some whispering vocals from the drummer, the Rev, and then it goes into the actual song, which again is kind of like palm muting, maybe kind of simple power chord things, and nothing too special. It has a bit of room to breathe while Matt's singing. There's backing vocals, so Matt does the typical singing, no effects, but then there's a backing, which he again sings, and there's an effect going on, so it makes it kind of fluidy, kind of ghostly in the background while he comes out, and then his actual part comes in. When they do this live, it's Sinister Gates and Avenged, so the two guitarists who sing this part, because obviously Matt can't do it, because there's no way he can. It's impossible. And then the chorus is kind of sung by the drummer again, and then it gets rid of the riff. It's kind of like just strum outs and just let it ring out, and that's pretty much it until it gets into like an after chorus or something, which is kind of rapped or something by Shadows, which he doesn't do live. He doesn't sing any of that live. It's just chanting hey, hey, hey. But in the studio version, he's got vocals that he's singing, but it's kind of rap speaking type of thing. And Sinister here is holding the whammy again. He's going ballistic on the whammy bar. He really loves doing it. I love it when he does it because he's really good at using the whammy bar and bends and everything. And then it goes back to the verse and back to the chorus. But then after the chorus, it gets a new part where Matt's voice is very fluid, very nice. And you get the first solo from Sinister, which is very melodic, very nice sounding, very beautiful. There's no kind of showing off. It's just holding notes, making all of them sing beautifully, and letting them breathe. But then Matt lets out a belting scream, and then says what was said in the intro, so the first line by the Rev, but Matt does it in an aggressive way. And then you get the another solo, which it's kind of like three guitars going, because you have the backing guitars, and but you have Sin do lead, but then under that you also have Zaki doing some lead as well. So Matt came up with this idea as well. So it wasn't Sinister Gates. Matt was just in the studio. You saw it on the making of, and Matt's basically going round, and I will do it. It looks ridiculous, but this is exactly how he does it. He's just like do 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 do, and his hands are doing this and everything. Do 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 do. And then it's like, and then you end up on a whirr, and that's basically how Matt explained it to Sinister Gates. And Sinister Gates went and did it because he can basically take sounds and incorporate it in the guitar. Sinister Gates knows what he's doing. He knows how to make a sound on the guitar. He knows how it all works and everything. He's really gifted. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the solo. A lot of people think it's definitely one of the greats. But it's not exactly musical or anything. It's just kind of breath with the rhythms, and then it's a bit of a hold, then back to what the rhythm is. Then he comes back and does a little shreddy, and then so then he kind of does. I'm gonna do a whammy part. Dun 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 dun. Okay, now shred. Dun 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 dun. Okay, dun dun dun. So it's just like he kind of does his kind of fancy parts, but then it goes back to rhythm, and then he just ends on the pull on the whammy, the thing, so it screams just woo, and then it goes back into the verse, so not the chorus or anything. It's their verse, and then back to the chorus with the Rev singing, and then it ends. So the solo wasn't great. I preferred the first one, which was kind of a build to what the actual solo should have been. But I preferred the first one just because it was more kind of musical and just seemed more thoughtful and thought out and had more talent. And the other one, which was basically just, I'm going to do a whittle and I'll show them something up with a whammy. And it just didn't seem like there was a lot to it. Like, I would have preferred if Sinister kind of actually did it himself instead of Matt explaining him what to do, because Matt does another one which explains him what to do, and I'm not a fan of that one really either. But Almost Easy. So this just kind of gets into it immediately. There's no kind of build or anything. It just kind of goes straight into it. And Sinister has a lead as well for the intro, so it's really nice. Thoughtful again, not really showing off, no real shred or anything. It's holding notes, it sounds great, and very musical, and works with everything else that's going on. It's really good. And then it kind of gets into the actual song, so it's really kind of aggressive chords, power chords. The Rev has that famous, you see him do it on the making of. I'm going to say this a lot. You see in the making of, you may as well just watch that. But he does, I don't know what it's called, two-sided or something. So he's hitting over here, one thing maybe, if not two. So he's back, forth, back, forth. But then his other arm is right over here, and he's doing something else. So he's kind of like that. So he can't look at both. He has to get both of them without really looking, or just looking at one. And then he's also got the double drums as well. So he's all over the place. So when people saw that in the making of, they were pleased. You should be able to hear it as well, because obviously the drum or the range, he's at one end and then there's the other end, and he's doing multiples with two arms and the feet. So you should be able to make it out. You should be able to tell where that is. It's before the vocals and everything, and after Sin does his kind of lead solo in the intro. But then Matt comes in, and it's aggressive vocals, but it's not kind of like aggressive like Symphony X aggression or anything. It is notes, and he is holding them, but he's putting a lot of emphasis in it. It's like he's got it right down in his stomach, and he's really kind of holding in the air to project it and everything. So, and pushing, but he has the note, he is holding what is an actual note and everything, but it just sounds like he's really putting emphasis on what he's doing. He's putting a lot of energy into it to announce these vocal lines and everything. And there's a lot of power and aggression, but it is note, it is musical. Even though I say it's kind of aggressive, it isn't aggressive in just kind of shouting something stupid out. The chorus is very uplifting. Zaki and Sin are singing underneath Matt, who's holding. He says a few lines, holds it, and then underneath Zaki and Sin are holding a line, so mother, and then Matt sings a few things, and then the two guitarists say it all or something like that, and then Matt does it again. The solo is quite showy off. It's still a great sound. Like Sinister really doesn't just do anything for the goddamn sake of it, really. Not a lot, at least. So it is flashy and everything. But about halfway through it stops, and it gets a lot more melodic. So he starts heavy flash, but he holds it, so he keeps kind of breaking it up with holds. So and then he holds, and then it's back. But then about halfway through, it's just really fluid. It flows along with the song and everything. But he is doing a solo, but it flows with the rest of the music. It's very bright, very nice. And then it goes back to Matt, which is kind of whispering. He's got a bit of an evil laugh there. And then it goes back to the chorus and leaves. Scream, the idea that they came up with was, wouldn't it be good if we had them slot machine sounds in? So when you put your coin in and then pull the lever, it's... So apparently Zaki went and incorporated it, and then Sinister took Zaki's thing and then built further. So that's basically the idea. So dun 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 dun, and then you get the dun dun, and then you just get the heavy chugs. The song starts with a scream from a female, which is Val, who is Matt's wife and mother of his son, and just kind of a scream, but there's kind of an echo, so it's and then it kind of fades out with layers, and then it gets into the dun 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 dun, the slot machine thing. Lyrically, this is a very sadistic song. When I looked at the lyrics last, what I get from it is it's a song which is all about the enjoyment and thrill of killing and bloodlust. So just kind of how killing is beautiful, and blood and gore and death, and it's beautiful and it's amazing, and you get a high from it, and it kind of turns you on or something. You just kind of thirst for it. It gives you that high and everything, all the death and everything. So quite sadistic. The lyrics, it's pretty dark. The first chorus ain't the actual chorus. The actual chorus, Matt is holding on to his lines more than usual. The solo, though, which Matt again came up with and went to Sin, saying, just shred it. Just basically shred as fast as you can, and they'll be done. So that is what Sin did. So Sin just went in, shredded as fast as he could. He says it's all picked, so it's not faked, it's not hammer on and pull off, so it's not basically he's making it even quicker by hammering on and pulling off. His picking hand is picking absolutely everything. But Sinister did say that because he just went in there and just went blah, 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 he didn't exactly know when he was done what he just did. So he had to go back and figure out what he did, so then he could actually do it live. Because it wasn't really anything. He just shredded, and that was it. In the same spot as well, so it's just and that was pretty much it. It does kind of leave with a ghostly kind of lead again, and the lead persists when Matt comes in with the vocals after the solo, so it's a quite haunting, ghostly guitar lead that floats around the place, and then Matt comes in, very slow singing, holding the note, and ghostly along with that ghostly lead that Sinister's doing. And then it goes into Matt saying scream, 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 and under that there's the Rev going scream, 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 but the Rev holds on to his scream, scream, scream for a few seconds longer than Matt, so Matt goes scream, 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 and the Rev it's scream, 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 so he holds it a bit more, and his is a different pitch to what Matt's doing, so that's kind of good. And when they're going scream, 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 I think Sinister is kind of sliding down the guitar side, dwell, 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 kind of like that. And yeah, pretty damn good. Pretty sick song and everything. Interesting playing, interesting concepts, interesting lyrics. Solo, clearly there wasn't really anything musical about it, but it's good. Then you have Afterlife, which starts with like the orchestra, so you got your violins and everything, and then you get into the song with Sinister doing his typical kind of leads again, which is holding notes, musical and everything, nothing really showing off. When it gets near the end, it gets a bit quicker, but it's not really shred or anything. And Zaki's going underneath him, but before Matt starts and the verse actually starts, everything cuts out, so you just get guitar going dun 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 dun, which is just Sin by himself, and then that cuts out, and then you just get a bass interlude just before Matt comes in, going dum da dum da dum, and then it all kicks in, and Matt's voice kind of keeps trailing off into certain areas, so it's normal, so dun 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 dun, but then every now and then there's a word which he kind of trails out, scream, so it kind of goes kind of really melodic and fluid, then back to just typical singing, then just fluid, and then back to typical singing, then fluid, and he kind of persists that through the verse. And then the pre-chorus, you're kind of left with Matt with drums, and then guitar coming in, and then cutting out, and then just Matt with drums, and then the rest of the band comes in, and you get backing vocals, which on the studio is again Matt, but live it's Zaki and Sin. And then you get to the actual chorus, which is very pretty, very nice and everything. The song is basically about a person who's died and gone to the afterlife, but he hasn't really lived life to the best he can. So he regrets that he didn't do enough. So it's basically saying, look, my time's not now. There's still things I still got to do back down in the world. There's still loved ones that need me. There's still things I haven't yet done, things I haven't finished. I can't die now because I haven't really lived my life to what I should have. So that's pretty much the gist of the song. And the after the second chorus, going into the change and everything, you have Matt singing melodically and everything, nice pitch and everything, and you have the Rev singing underneath him, and where he isn't as well, and then Matt singing where the Rev isn't, so they kind of join together, but then one kind of comes up while the other one fades, and then this one comes and the other one fades, and they kind of meet again in the middle, so they keep kind of meeting, overlapping and things. Singing different parts, so it's not a duets or anything. The lyrics are both completely different for both of them. And the Rev finishes it, which trails into the solo by Sinister, which in the studio, again, Sinister put a lot of work into it. He always does, he always thinks about it, always tries to put as much emotion in as he can. The choir, so the people playing the violins and everything, were in the other room with their headphones on, so they could hear what was happening and everything, because they kind of have to, unless they're not going to be in time or anything. So they need to hear the tune, the sound, and the timing and things. So they had the headphones on, so when they were playing and then it came to the solo, they stopped. They still have the headphones on, so they hear in the other room what Sinister's doing. And one of the guys, which they did talk about, turned around and just stared at the room in amazement of what Sinister was doing. And Sinister, again, just was like, yeah, it's what it is. He's not big-headed, he's just like, yeah, it was all picked, so I didn't do any of the hammer-ons and pull-offs or anything. It was all just picked and everything. It is fast. But saying that it's fast, it goes through different phases. So he has the first phase of the solo starting, which is fast, and then a hold now and then. So fast, but then kind of pause, hold, give it time to breathe, back, and then it's like, okay, enough of that. Let's build up the speed again with hold. So so it's only a bit of flash, then a really nice, beautiful soaring hold. Give that shred time to breathe, give you a nice relaxing part, then back to it. Enough of that. Okay, let's build it up to the biggest point. And then he builds it up, but then he still survives. It's still giving you some air, so he keeps building and building and building, and it's always different. So it's not basically, okay, I'm doing the same thing, just faster. It's something different, but still faster, and the holds are different, but there's still holds, so you still have time to kind of take in what he's doing and relax and get a nice sound along with a lot of flashing shred. And then he ends it, and it's known as a fantastic solo, and I think the reason why it's so well known and why it's such a great shred of a solo and really well known, very hard to play as well, because Sinister does go all over the place, and there's a lot of holds, and then he has to go from the hold all the way back to the shred in not really even seconds. It has to be really quick to get to it, because there's no pausing. The second he's done with the hold, he is immediately shredding again, and he's going up and down the neck to do it. But the reason I think it's so great is because it's just not constant shred, just showing off. There is holds, there is breaths, there is shred, but it's all different styles and different tones and different sounds. All of them with their holds, nice, take a breath, take in what you've heard, okay, back to it, and it's really thought out. It is absolutely genius, and that is why it is so well known. And it is very hard to play, even though he gives it breaks. It's just an incredible solo by him. I know a lot of people disagree. A lot of people keep complaining that Sinister is overhyped and he actually knows absolutely nothing. Which I think's ridiculous, but whatever. Next song is Gunslinger. This song was pretty much Matt's idea. He wanted it to be all heavy, but Sinister came to him saying, I want the first part to just be acoustic. So that's what it is. It's just Matt and Sinister doing acoustic, and that's all it really is for about half of the song. And there is a few leads, so it's da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. So you got your actual rhythm. It's not just simple chords, it's a really cool rhythm. But you get some leads sprinkled throughout until Matt starts singing. Kind of bluesy and jazzy, so it kind of just knows its time. It comes in and then it leaves again. It doesn't stay there, outstaying its welcome. It kind of just comes in and leaves when its task is done. Then Matt comes in and then it's all sung and everything. And then it has its nice bright bits. Sorry, I'm recording on my phone, so that's what the vibration was. So sorry about that. Hopefully that's all it's going to do. So eventually it gets into all the bands, so it just explodes into it. There's no build. You don't really know when it's coming. It just dun, and it just immediately comes in. In the studio they say whenever anyone hears it, the hair kind of stands up on your arm. It doesn't really for me. But it's a great explosion into something completely different. It's not just progression, it's just this is it, this is it, this is it. Completely new immediately, and it's just like, wow. And you need to settle into that. And Matt's just like, yeah. And then after that, Sinister, I don't know what it's called, but it sounds like what he's doing is in between the frets, that metal bar, which if you kind of lightly put your finger on and then pick it, you get that really kind of bright, tinny kind of sound coming out. I'm pretty damn sure that's what Sinister does. So, and then back to the and then the and then it goes into it, and Sin is doing all the kind of leads and fluid stuff, and then goes into the rhythm, but he does his leads and everything. and then it comes out of that into a more kind of musical thing, and then it goes even more musical with Matt's voice sounding incredibly beautiful and everything. And then they bring in a guest vocalist, a female, which they say is from the Music Mafia or something. And she sounds great, and she sings with Sin. So it starts with Matt, very fluid, very pretty voice, just going, "You lend me the light to bring me closer to heaven with you." And around closer to heaven, the female creeps in with him under, but then kind of matches right at the end. And when it's closer to heaven with you, then Sinister comes in, and while he's playing, she just says a small part, which is a little bit closer, yeah, I think. And the solo then progresses further, so it doesn't just end there. So he starts, the female has her part with him still playing the solo, she ends, and then Sinister carries on with the solo. The solo is extremely amazing. It is so beautiful, it's so well thought. It matches the overall feeling of the song, which is just so nice, so heartwarming. It's such a great solo. Like, Sinister really just incorporates it. Like, the song flows through him, the emotion flows through him, and he flows it into the instrument. It's not anything flashy. There is nothing flashy. Nothing exactly technical, but at the same time it is extremely technical, because how amazing this sounds. Like, it would take someone with such skill and such emotion to do something that sounds that amazingly nice. It's such a fantastic sounding solo, an amazing sounding solo. A solo that I think is probably maybe overlooked. And if it's the case, you need to go back and listen to it. It's a very nice solo. But yeah, that's that. Now the next track, Unbound, The Wild Ride. Matt's worst track of all, apparently. I don't think it's that bad. But yeah, after the stage was done in interviews, when people say what's your worst track, Matt says Unbound, because it just sounds kind of Disney and childish and really silly and too cheerful or something, which ain't really Avenged. I think Avenged is always different, always trying new things, so I think to that extent it is extremely Avenged Sevenfold. So the song just basically starts and everything, and when it gets to Matt singing, the only instrument there, it's piano, not keyboard or anything, it's actual piano. And I saw the guy who did it, he struggled doing it as well, so it's hand constantly doing this, but then this one is kind of tapping while this hand is constantly moving, and then one hand, and that kind of lifts up, and then he goes further with that one. So it's a lot of kind of doing that, and then tapping, and then kind of pulling off, and then going further. So it sounds nice. It's not sounding technical or everything. It's really nice, really kind of upbeat. You can probably say kind of Disney sounding, but it's dark. It's not bright like Mary Poppins or anything. But it's a nice sound, and it's really nice. And just to kind of get that is a real massive change of pace to everything else, because that is it. It's Matt and that sound. But it only lasts a few seconds, so and that's probably it. And then the guitar and the rest of the band come in, do their thing for a bit, and Sinister does a bit of lead right at the end when he fades out again. So again, kind of a bluesy, jazzy style. So he just kind of does his thing, but then he goes to do a lead at the end, just he's very jazz and blues influenced, which a lot of people may actually not know, but at the end I'll explain why that is to you. Then it goes back to the keyboard, piano, and then back to the actual band again. The chorus there sounds like Matt is really holding on to the words, really projecting it and really holding it. Because he holds the words, but it just sounds like he's really pushing and really putting power into it. He sings it really well. I think Sinister's doing sweep picking. It kind of sounds like it. So the chorus, there's a lot of and it kind of sounds like a lot of ascending and descending, and it's not really fast sweep picking. It's not like that. It's kind of slow up and slow, kind of down ascending. Near the upper neck, it's not thick and fat at the upper, so it's probably somewhere in the lower neck. And yeah, if it is sweep picking, that's very technical. It's not sped up, so he's not showing off. He's finding the appropriate speed, which is what he should be doing. And really sounds great. His lead, it's a good thing with Sinister. Like he always loves using songs like a playground. That's how I explain Sinister Gates. The song is his playground. He's always doing something. There is always leads, but he does know when to take a back seat. But then there are subtle hints of him. He is always there. He's always somewhere, and when he isn't, he is gonna be somewhere later. That is Sinister Gates. He always is gonna do something. It's never just simple with him. And it's one reason why I really like him. But then it goes back to the verse and everything with the piano. But this time Sinister doesn't have his lead, he just leaves it out. And then the next time when the piano comes in again and then it goes back to the band, that sound again has a slight change to it, just making it a bit different. And after the chorus, it's all completely different. There's Matt and a choir in, with Sin holding lead, very bright notes, just holding it, doing bends and holding very bright, and then descend the bends and then hold the notes and everything. So it's very slow, a lot of really holding very, very bright sounds with Matt and the choir. And then when the choir stop, Matt comes in with Sinister doing kind of like the ascending and descending thing again, going mad with that, but keeping an appropriate speed. It's not just like everything. It's just so much going on basically. But when the choir finishes, when Matt just takes it even further. Really, like choirs are talented, but Matt is just really goes in, really pushes it. So when he goes in to say thanks to the choir, and the choir are going to him just like, Jesus, the amount you put in and everything is amazing. And Matt's like, oh, thank you very much, and everything, So great. It comes back round to that again, but it's just the choir. So Matt isn't there, and the guitar isn't there. So it's just the choir basically, I think. And then the song ends with their little kids, and basically these little kids are saying something really grown up for them. So it's kind of like about life and death, I think they're singing about. And Sinister is not doing a lead or anything. He's just playing. Well, it is a lead, but it's not a solo. It's a lead. Bright, holding the notes and everything, so not trying to outshine the kid's performance or anything. He's just giving something kind of creepy, high-pitched sounding to go along with the kids. And then the song kind of starts fading out on kind of like a heartbeat type of sound, and it's quite dark and quite creepy. So I think there's a lot in the song. Like there's a lot of technicality. I don't think there is a solo or anything. But there's a lot of technique. There's a lot of variety. It's very varied and everything. They got the piano player. They got the choir, then the kids, and all of this again is Avenged Sevenfold coming up with the ideas. Like, the reason the choir is there and the piano is because Avenged Sevenfold asked for it. These people don't just walk in and say, oh, we could do this. Avenged Sevenfold say, we want this, we want this, we want this. So their mind space knows all of this. They know how it all fits together, and these aren't instruments they're using. So they just know this, which shows how in touch they are with their musical side. And it's not basically just, we are Avenged Sevenfold and no one else is. It is Avenged Sevenfold and their musical minds incorporating other instruments. So they don't lock everything else out, saying, well, we're not violinists, that's not Avenged Sevenfold. Bands who do that, I think, are just missing the point. Like, this is what you should do if you can pull it off. And everything. And it just makes it so much unique, so grand and everything, so big and so diverse. It's great. So, yeah, Matt said this is his worst. I don't know if he's changed his mind or anything, because at the time he really liked it and everything. So he may change his mind. I think it's a fantastic song and everything. It's kind of Disney sounding, like the kind of piano kind of fiddly part. It's like very kind of brighty Disney and everything. The track, before they named the track, this was called they explained the song like going through Disney on acid, and it's like a magic carpet ride. So the song is a magic carpet ride, and it's an experience of going through Disney on acid, and that's how they explained the song, and then they named it Unbound the Wild Ride. Now next, Brompton Cocktail doesn't start with the band. It starts with like bongo drums or something, kind of like maracas and things. Really weird, unusual instruments and everything, especially for metal. But it starts quiet, and then there's kind of like a ghostly kind of sound that kind of persists. It kind of builds, and then all the instruments kind of build, and it gets louder and louder, and then the whole band just burst in and everything. Really thick sound, really aggressive. And then Matt comes in, and kind of like ghostly whispering he's doing to the actual singing, and everything's out apart from the drums and the bass. You can really hear the drums, you can really hear the bass, and you got violins, and it's really nice. And Matt's going, Doc, I'm dying. And underneath that, he's got that special effect and voice he does, which really sounds great. Like, effects, you could kind of argue, well, it's not his actual voice, but it's an idea, it's what he's come up with, it's his choice, and he is still singing, and he doesn't know the note as well, so it's not like autotune or anything. But doing the normal stuff and then going to the feeling compromised, it's really, really unique, really cool sound. It's really cool. And it kind of jumps back to him singing, and then that dark presence of his voice, kind of saying the same thing, then going back to him, saying it, and then he says it again, even louder, and then the rest of the band come in again, the whole band, so the guitars, and the first part of the chorus, it's just the same as the first part of the verse, basically. The violins and the drums and the bass, and he holds notes. He really emphasizes some and really pushes them, and then others it's just normal. So he's doing a lot with his voice and a lot of variety. And then the rest of the band come in with the chorus, and it's really nice. There's some backing vocals, which I don't know if it was Matt that sung it, or if it was Zachy maybe. I think it's Matt. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Matt. I don't think they ever played it live. If they did, it would probably be Zachy who did it. Maybe Sinister. I don't think it would be both of them. It may have been. I don't know. And there is a solo in in this song. Basically, it's a solo that uses a lot of effects, which I believe it's an effect that kind of holds a note. So he just kind of bends the string or holds the whammy, and he just really holds it there. But it makes the sound way higher pitched than what it's supposed to be in the screech, and it just holds it and holds it. And then when he brings it down and everything, and then starts doing things, the sound is all fluid and kind of coming together and overlapping, and then coming out and overlapping and overlapping and coming out. So it's like waves of water kind of splashing together and then pulling apart and coming together. It's really weird sounding, the effect he does. He did mess around with it in the studio while Zaki, the rhythm guitarist, sat behind him, and he's just going more and bringing it to the amp, and then you get a lot of feedback and everything, and then he's bending and lifting the guitar in all sorts of directions, and then it gets so high pitched and everything that Zaki's just to hell with this, and he walks out just like God, rubbing his ears, nearly making him deaf. And not that it sounds that bad, that was just basically Sin messing around, but it is high pitched, but it is musical and everything, and he knows the feedback, he knows the effect and everything, and then he knows the effect to make everything kind of wobble, all the sounds wobble together and interlink and overlap and everything can come back out again. So really incorporated with that effect and everything, and it's pretty short and everything. It starts with all the chords and then it goes into all the kind of weird wiggling of notes together. And that's basically that. So that solo is very unique and different. Very short, but definitely cool. Then we get Lost. This intro, you get basically dual leads. So you have Sinister play a part, and then he fades out with a hold, and then Zaki repeats it, and then he goes on to the hold while Sinister then repeats it again. Then it changes, and it's basically the same thing, it's just different, and Sinister plays holds, and then Zaki plays it again, and then holds, and then Sinister. So they basically keep overlapping each other, so one does it, then holds in the background while the other one does it again. And the idea on this song with the chorus was to use, Zaki came up with using some kind of pop thing, where the lead vocalist has a special mic which whatever he sings, they kind of can take the sound on and off and make the sound go up and down and everything. So it's kind of poppy where the voice is like, and it does all that kind of weird sounds and everything. I don't really know how to explain it, because even Sinister and Matt says we don't exactly know what the hell it's doing, but we think we like it. And when I first heard it, obviously it's very different. It's not really seen and everything. But once you get used to it and you accept it, it's basically, if you accept it, then it is something completely new. And it is still metal and everything. So why not? It's another show of great imagination, great talent, great mind working to come up with that and everything, and then putting it into that and pulling it off is a true show of what I think metal overall is, which is a show of sheer talent and great minds and uniqueness and new ideas. And with all the music out there, it's amazing how they come up with all these new things when there is billions of metal acts out there. So it's amazing. And it's not the first time there's something completely different. Like throughout this album, there's a lot of unique and varied sounds. And so, obviously the chorus, Matt has the up and down and everything. The solo on this is sung with the rev in the background. I think it's the rev. And there's an effect on the voice, so where the rev sings it melodically, not soft, musically. So he sings it musically, and he has the pop effect going on, and he's in the background while Sinister's doing a solo. And this is definitely one of Sinister's greatest solos. I don't think a lot of people say it, but to me, this is one of the greatest. It is so musical, it's so much fun. Like, obviously, this is a kind of pop. It's not poppy, it's still metal. But it's one of them very musical, very bright, a lot of fun type of song. So it's a really bright solo, really fun, great sounding, and musical is like when it plays, it's so nice to the ears. It's so pleasant and everything. There's no real showing. There's a bit of showing off near the end, just a little bit of shred and everything, but it's mostly just being really musically in tune, really great sounding, really fluid, really musical, amazing thought put into it. It sounds great. It is a fantastic solo, and it lasts a fair while as well. Another thing with Sinister, some of his solos can be a bit short, like Brompton Cocktail, but for the most part, Sinister, his solos go on for a fair while. He's a massive show-off. And throughout the songs, he's still kind of showing off, and you could basically say that the entire song is a solo for him, because, as I say, it's kind of like a playground for him. But that's basically it. If you haven't really heard the song and you want to hear a fantastically musical, amazingly sounding solo, Lost, you should check it out. Then we get a little piece of Heaven. A lot of people like this. It's very different because you have horns coming in, you have the violins coming in, you have choir coming in, you have children choirs coming in. There's a lot. And you have the drums and the bass. I don't really hear guitar. Like on the live DVD, live at the LBC, I can hear Sinister. But on the album, I don't hear him. So that really winds me up. Even though it's very unique, it's very special, I want to hear Sinister Gates. You don't drop a god. Okay, that's an opinion. But don't drop Sinister Gates. Like, I know there's so many unique sounds and you wanted that type of thing, but Sinister can do a lot of things. I'm sure Sinister had an idea. Like, live he's playing, so he could have just done that. But a little piece of Heaven, a lot of people say, oh, it's like their longest song. It really isn't. There's been longer songs before it, there's longer songs after it. It's just 8 minutes. It's a typical kind of what you expect a metal's length should be. These days it's around 3-4 minutes, but typical, the actual metal, 8 minutes, pretty much. And for this, Matt just went to the Rev saying, you're a freak, basically. You are really weird, and you have weird ideas. So come up with something. And the Rev originally didn't want to fully go at it, but Matt insisted, go out there, push it. So the Rev went away for something like 3 days or something, and he came back, and he just went on the piano, started one hand, and then went to two hands, one hand, two hands. And then he went and did the drums, and then he says, okay, give me a mic and press play somewhere in the song. And then he started muttering something and everything. So then it was just basically like random piano, drums, and random vocals. And a lot of them were just like, what the hell is this? And Matt trusted the guy. Matt was like, no, we will go with this. The Rev didn't even think. The Rev was just like, oh, if they don't think so and everything. Well, he wasn't showing off or anything. Just, oh, if you don't want it, you don't want it. So, but Matt was like, no, I insist. Seriously, we will figure this out, even if it doesn't make it on the album. And I think actually it was supposed to be a B-side, I think. But they were, when they did make it, they said, no, this has to be in the album. So, they built on it, and eventually he wrote out the lyrics, and the band was shocked by these lyrics and everything. And then he, with the lyrics down, they got that in, and then they got the violins in, and then the guy who did the violin said, I can bring horns in as well. They were like, yes. So then they got the horns in, then they got the vocals and everything. They got another female, so they got the choir and the kids, but then they had a lead female to do, because it's a narrative, it's a story, this song. So you have the main male and you have a main female, so they brought a female in to do that. And the song is quite sick. It's about two people who are in love. So woman, and the guy proposes. The woman basically laughs in his face and rejects him. He gets enraged and basically murders her by stabbing her 50 times, then ripping her heart out and eating it in front of her dying eyes. And then after that, the song's basically like she was never really that good in bed, but now I can do whatever the hell I want with her. So I bought a heater for her thighs, so then I can warm them up, so when I have sex with her corpse, it feels like the real thing. So it's pretty damn sick, and he's just living a normal life, so she's dead, he's having sex with her, dancing with her and everything, having dinner with her, and just treats it like a normal relationship. And then it comes back to her coming back to life and chasing him. She stabs him in the heart 50 times and eats his heart in front of his dying eyes. And then he goes to hell where she meets him. And he's basically sorry, and she says you'll have to make up for it for the rest of eternity and everything. He says he will. So they come back and terrorize the living and end up to get married. So they get married and basically live together happily forever, killing as a married couple. That's kind of it. So it's a very, very disgusting love story about two people who killed each other, but then they forgave each other, they got married, and then they had fun for all eternity as a couple in love, happy together, never will die, and killing everyone. No, obviously there's a lot of horns, there's all the choirs, and then you get the kid choirs, and you have the female vocals, and you have Matt, and you have the sadistic parts, which is sung by the Rev, and then you have a duet of Matt and the Rev singing together at some time, so harmonised, and you have the sadistic parts, it's really fast and everything, but then when they say, there's a part where it's just like, people are gonna die, so this was just your time and everything, and I forgive you, and we're in love and everything. It gets quite nice and everything, so in all the sickness and everything, and even though it's still kind of sick at the time, but they are trying to make it sound like we're in love and it's nice. The music kind of incorporates that and goes along with that vibe and everything. So very different song, very special, and again very unique, and shows great musicianship. The next and final song, Dear God, kind of a country song. You got your acoustic with Sin, and you got some leads in the intro done by Sin on the not really acoustic guitar, it's basically clean channel on the electric guitar lead, and it's basically just a song about being out on the road, and you miss the ones you love, and you just want to come back, and you want to hold them, you want to cherish them, you don't want to leave them. It hurts being away from them for so long. So the chorus, Dear God, just look after them. God, look after them. So when I come back, they are safe and they are happy. Just look over them and protect them while I'm gone. It's a really nice song, musically really, really nice. Someone who just misses his family and wants them to be safe. And he prays for it and for them to be okay. And wishes and counts the days until he can be back with them in their arms. The solo actually really annoyed Sinister Gates, but that's because they brought another musician in. And I don't know the name of the instrument, but there's feet pedals, 2 feet pedals that the feet are kind of doing that with. You can't see my feet, but you know, both feet. And then there's a slider block on a lot of strings, so you can slide it and everything, and there's a block here. So it's 2 hands sliding up strings, and then you can kind of vibrato it. And he's got the feet going, the pedals to kind of change the pitches and things. So both of his feet are going and both hands are going like that and everything. and he's playing a solo, and Sinister's sat there listening, and apparently getting really kind of miffed and everything. Not the guy, like he really loved the guy. He thought he was fantastic and had a lot of heart and emotion, but that's what annoyed Sin. And Zaki was saying as well, you can, whatever you give Sinister Gates, he will put heart into it. He feels every single song, and he can put what emotion you need into that song. If it has to be sick, if it has to be sadistic, if it has to be love, sorrow, heart, pain, Sin feels it and he incorporates it into the song with ease. Zaki thinks that's what Sinister's like, and to a degree I agree, if not completely. But Sinister just heard this, and it wound him up, because apparently he just sat listening the whole time, trying to think of something better, something to outdo this guy. But apparently he was struggling, and he left the room, and he was talking to the guitar tech who sat down with him and recorded the solos and his guitar parts. And they just kind of discussed what he was doing, and they're saying, oh, he's using his feet and doing that and everything. And the end product, Sinister is doing the solo, so it's both of them. So you have that weird kind of instrument doing a part, and then Sinister comes in with his actual lead, and they both play each other's things. So he does his, and then Sinister like kind of copies it, incorporates some of his own things, but it's mostly kind of copying, and then a bit of his own. And near the end, Sinister starts completely doing his own thing and everything. But you can really tell Sinister's trying. Like, I think he got the emotion, he got the feeling the guy was going for. But then he went further, because he did a bit of shred and show off near the end to give him that extra part. So he had the emotion, he had the feel, exactly like the guy did. And then he went and showed off that he's fast and talented. And I prefer the sound of the guitar over this guy's instrument. So overall, for that, I say Sinister Gates wins. So that's basically the album. And yeah, going on about Sinister Gates. Sinister Gates' dad is an actual musician, and to this day is still a musician. He's a blues jazz player. So when Sinister Gates started in life, he listened to jazz and blues, and he was taught originally by his dad, who taught him jazz and blues. So this is what Sinister knows best. It's what he started with, and then later he got into the metal scene, and I believe Sinister went to musical college as well, one of the best ones and everything, and passed. So he was trained, and he was trained by his dad, and then he went past his dad. And today on masterclasses, he's saying, I'm learning new things. He says the problem with being in Avenged Sevenfold, they are a metal band first and foremost, so they can't come out with a whole jazz album. They can't come out with an album sounding like Carlos Santana or anything, or Orianthe, or Bullet for My Valentine, or Justin Bieber, because their genre, their thing is metal. So Sinister Gates said, although I try and put stuff and things in there, I can't really go that far. So he does all these other things. He, to this day, is learning all these techniques I've never even heard of. And a lot of people may not have even heard of it. There's so many weird things that he's trying to do. Trying to come up with being able to think on the spot of solos instead of sitting and writing. Being able to just play something, he's like, got it, and it sounds amazing, and it sounds like it's been thought about for days, weeks, years. He tries a lot. So he is a blues and a jazz player, and I do think that comes through, because as I said, throughout the songs he does leads. Sometimes it's just a lead here and there, which is really kind of blues and jazz, because usually in blues and jazz they don't actually play anything, and then randomly you'll just get a bit of it, da-na-na-na, and then it's gone for about 5 seconds, and then you get dun dun dun, and then they're gone again. Sinister can do that through songs, or he's doing a lot of leads all the time. So I think he incorporates that sound where it's basically like he knows where he needs to be, he knows when to take a break and a breath, he knows when to show off, he knows how to do feel and how to do heart and warmth, he knows how to shred, like he can really shred and go all over the neck, really fast with complete and utter ease. So he's great. Matt, is he one of the greatest voices in the world? No. Has he got a unique voice? Yes. Does he have the notes? Yes. Every note he does, he nails it. Nothing's auto-tuned. He can do it live, and yeah, so he knows the notes. He can do them live and everything. His voice is unique, but it's nothing amazing, nor very, very gifted or anything. It's just a unique voice, and he gets all the notes right and everything. So he's still very well and good. Zaki comes up with some great rhythms and everything. In areas he can keep up with Sinister and do dual guitars and everything. So he's good. The drummer clearly is very gifted. Like he came up with the Almost Easy song. He came up with Afterlife. He came up with A Little Piece of Heaven. So he has a lot of good ideas and everything, and he does have a cool voice, which is here and there in this album. In Nightmare, I think he's bloody awful, but he's also a great drummer. Like a lot of people really like him for that part in Almost Easy where he's doing all that, like an octopus, and he's very gifted on the drums, with a lot of power. And the bass player, I'm not really into bass, so I'm kind of like Zaki when they were going through the studio and looked into the bass room and said you can't spell bass without ass. I'm not really much of a fan of the bass. I just think it's there to keep the speed for the guitars, so when they're live, if they're kind of drowned out, they can kind of feel the bass pounding on their chest so they know where the beat is and everything. That's usually bass, just there for the beat and everything, thicken the sound up a bit as well. Other than that, there's nothing really to it, but he has his few leads. Like Johnny said, he did a wah in the song Scream, but because I'm really not accustomed to bass, I don't really know where the wah is. You can tell me, because I am intrigued where that wah is for the bass, but he just says, there was a wah and I just kind of put a bit of wah in there to give it something, but I don't have a clue where it is. And, in Live at the LBC, at the end of a song or something, he seems to do some kind of shred part and everything. So I think he's a fast bassist and can do a bit of shred on the bass, but I don't think he's anything extraordinary. And I don't really think he actually adds anything to the songs. Like the Rev I know Matt did. Sinister puts things in just with his own playing style. He adds loads. Zaki has an idea here and there, but Johnny is basically there for bass. I don't really think he puts much in. But yeah, that's it. So very unique sound. It's quite progressive, I think, and it's produced by them, so it's all them. Everything that's added, everything that's there was their choice, their vision, what they saw, and it's not even their own instruments, so that shows how wide a knowledge they have. It being self-titled, I think, was a great choice because it definitely shows them, and because it's the last of the Rev, it's the last hurrah of the whole band, so self-titled, I think kind of worked well for that. Matt's voice, with all the effects and how much effort he puts in, it's definitely one of his best vocal performances. Sin is throughout the songs going insane or takes his breath and comes in and does leads here and there. Like a ninja, he just comes in, shows extreme talent, and then just backs out and you don't see him again. Amazing. great feel. Even the solo, which is supposed to be extremely amazing and fast out of Afterlife, is amazing because there's so many pauses and time for just taking things in. Instead of Herman Lee on Dragon Force, where it's going so bloody quick that you can't really remember the second before. So it's just like if you were to rewind it by 1 second, you have no idea what that sounded like because it's way too fast and it never pauses, so your mind cannot keep up. If something's going for like 10 bloody minutes, it's not like I can remember every single part. It would be damn near impossible. It takes so many listens to remember every single part and how it sounds. So this is why Afterlife works so well, because it keeps taking the breath so you can remember them parts. And it's very rememberable, that solo. And Shred is quite hard to be rememberable. Melodic stuff is more rememberable because it's easy to listen to, it's easy to get. So, fantastic. And the lyrics are extremely good. A little piece of heaven for it being sick and everything. It's really cool. Scream, absolutely sadistic. Almost Easy is lyrically great, so is Afterlife, Dear God, Gunslinger. The lyrics are really good, really deep and thoughtful and everything. So, fantastic album. This is my longest review. This is terrible. So, out of 10, jeez, I don't know. There is better. Like, I do prefer City of Evil, and I prefer The Stage. So this is probably my third favourite album. So even though I could give it a 9 because it is extremely amazing, it wouldn't work because then if I give City of Evil a 9 or The Stage also a 9, it would just kind of mean they're all exactly the same. So maybe 8.5. If not, probably even more than that. I'll give it 8.8, so definitely very close to a 9. So it's a very good album, just probably shy of great and epic. So the only reason it's not definitely a 9 or anything is because critical acclaim solo I thought wasn't properly ideal or anything. Scream was a bit of a mindless solo and everything. Sinister should have tried on it. Little Piece of Heaven, I didn't really get any guitars there. Unbound, I don't think there's any solo. So they missed out guitar-wise, because critical acclaim could have had a better solo. Scream definitely could have had a better solo. Little Piece of Heaven could have had at least something guitar-wise. And Unbound should have had a solo. So yeah, that's my reasons why 8.8. So that is it. I don't want to go on any longer because this is ridiculous. If you like the review, leave a like, subscribe, so then I can keep going and doing more, because I can see that people I can see people still are appreciating what I'm doing, because all I've got at the minute is just free subscribers. So if I get more and everything, I'll see that there is an audience out there who is actually interested in what I'm doing. So then I will continue. So yeah, if you want me to continue and you want to see more, then subscribe so you can keep up to date with that. But if not, then just leave a like, so then I actually know that you do like what I did. So at least then I know that. So, and if you have anything to add them in the comments. I do talk and get into conversations. There's one subscriber who I've been talking with for a while now, and we go in, our conversations last a long time. We go into all sorts of topics. So, you want to talk music, you can join us, or just give me a question or something. So, I'm still blabbering, so I'll leave it there. Really sorry for how long this is going, because I'm just going on and on. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.